Hi, this is Deborah again, showing you the act of hydrating Hoover. And it starts by grabbing a clean needle in this kitchen drawer, and there's a bag that's marked needles for hydration. There are no syringes in it, just needles. And I grab one. They're usually in groups of 5, and then each one has to be torn away from the others. Just make sure that when you start this process, you do wash your hands. And then I go over to the living room and begin to get the needle ready for Hoover, and then we'll give him hydration shortly. All right, now I'm standing by the chair where we usually administer the hydration. Hoover's not here, clearly, getting the bag ready. So you keep the bag on this pole and with all the tubing coiled up on the hook. So I take it down, and the very first thing I do is the dirty needle is already on it, and I take that off. And so to do that, I unscrew this bottom part here. I unscrew it, and then the needle is still on the tubing, and then I kind of pull and twist the old needle off and just set it aside until I can put it in the sharps container. Then I try to keep my fingers away from this tip and that end to keep a sterile environment. And I open the needle, and then I put this end of the needle, the non-sharp end, in, and then I secure it by twisting righty-tighty, and then lefty-loosey, so it just would be twisted in place. And then that locks the needle in place. The cap is still on, and you want to keep the cap on until you're ready to actually poke Hoover. So now, then the final thing is on this particular pinch, this pinch stopper, it is pinched closed. So you just take it and move the blue stopper and the tubing to where it's no longer pinched close. And now it's ready for Hoover to be administered. All right, here's the star of the video. This is Hoover. And I have picked him up, brought him over here, and placed one of his favorite blankets on my lap and sat down with him. Now, all he needs is for you to start playing with his back, and he kind of knows what to do. He'll just hunker down, which is amazing. And he rubs his face on the side of the chair, and that's okay. But you're going to be looking for, first thing is you can take the needle off, go straight up, pull off the cap straight up like that, so that you don't get poked, and because that would not be good. If you do get poked, please change the needle to a clean needle if the end goes in breaks your skin. So now the needle is exposed, and I find Hoover's shoulder blades, and right at the end of the shoulder blades, closest to me, I pick up the skin like this, as far as I can without hurting him. And then I look with one finger, usually my middle finger, no harm intended with my middle finger, and I reach for and I create like a pocket there. Just think of it like it's the tent opening. And you're gonna insert the needle in the tent opening at the base of the tent. So then I just, usually I have the tip, the pointy side, the most pointed side down. I mean, maybe you'll see that it's probably hard to describe, but, so I've got, and that probably doesn't matter. I just take the needle, keep it out that, and go parallel to the body and into the skin. He barely flinches. And I go all the way to where the needle ends, and and the place where it's, connected to the connector, so to speak, the pink part. So it's in here, he's doing just fine. At this point, I usually kind of just gently put my hand on my non-dominant hand on his chest. And then I reach for the drip controller, which is right here, and I'm kind of sitting on it, so you kind of do have to be a little careful because there's a lot of tubing. So it's currently closed at the down position. And so I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to work it. I'm going to begin to roll the roller up to it starts dripping. And right now I've got it dripping fairly fast. You don't want to do a solid steady stream. You do want it to drip. But I find he can tolerate a fast drip, and you know, and then it's done quicker. So it's fully opened, it's dripping into him. I'll hold my hand, my dominant hand, kind of like right here, so that at least it's on the tubing, and it's gonna make sure that if he does make a sudden movement or any type of movement, the needle is not gonna pull out. And then if that happens, water will spray on him. And then the other thing, if that happens, you need to stop. And just discard that needle, and you know, either start again with a fresh needle, or if you're close to being done, just pull it out and be done for that episode. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly 100 mils, so you'll be able to determine if you've given him at least maybe half of it or so, if it does pull out. He's so good at this, I don't think it will. Okay, so now the videographer, Lou, is going to show you the bag. And basically, you are going to go from line to line, and that would be 100 mils. So this bag is, this is the empty, this is the last administration of this bag. So it started at 9, and that stands for 900 milliliters. And so we're gonna let this bag run all the way out. If we were starting at 8, which is above that, we would go from the 8 line mark to the 9 mark. And so that's how you know that it's 100 mils. So we're gonna stop the camera now and let Hoover hydrate till the end, and then we're going to continue by showing you the removal process. All right, so we have administered 100 mils of fluid to Hoover, and he is done. So the first thing I do is before, you know, as he's reaching that 100 mil mark, I turn this off first. That's the very thing you want to do, is stop the flow of the fluids, and that does it right there. And then I usually just pull the needle out, and quite often, once I pull the needle out, he jumps down. Sometimes he loves sitting here because he loves the blanket and he loves human warmth so much. So then I take the needle and the cap that I had set aside, and I put the cap back on. Now, you know, we always leave the dirty needle on until the next administration. So, so then I go ahead and reach over and I shut the pinch stopper right there. And then Hoover's nice and comfortable, so I'm kind of just gonna let him be for a while. But then what I do is I get up, you know, once he's off my lap, I go ahead and I hang the tubing like you would a garden hose. And one other thing I meant to say earlier, there he goes. So one other thing I meant to say is that sometimes his skin does kind of collapse around the needle, and you'll notice that the flow of the water, the hydration comes to a slow drip. So when that happens, that's okay, and that happens quite a bit. You just pinch his skin again and kind of lift up on his skin, keeping the needle stable, but pinch, you know, kind of fiddle around with his skin to make sure that it kind of comes unstuck from around the needle, and it'll start flowing again. So you may have to do that. As long as and it should be fine. Don't mess with the needle. Make sure the needle stays in. But, you know, if you can pick up the tent and kind of work with it a little bit, it'll go back. So that concludes the end of the video. I will be making another video about how to hang a new fresh bag once the old bag is empty. So I will do that next, but for the purposes of this, the lesson is over.